Welcome back to our 32 for 32 NFL preview series. I am Michael Lipinski, joined as always by Brett Halpern, and this is the Goal Line Stand of football all the time at GL Stand Show up there in the corner, and we are talking the Bears.
The Bears.
I have a special, I don't have other favorite teams. I am an Eagles fan, but I have a special place in my heart for the Bears.
Well,
we were Bears.
I know. I didn't know if you were going to mention it or yeah. So Mike and I have known each other since we were 8 years old. We met on the Pop Warner football fields in Cherry Hill, New Jersey.
Great
our fathers were our coaches, and we, as part of our journey in Pop Warner, we were the Bears, and we were actually the upper division champion Bears in the 1993 season.
Yeah.
Not really because of either of us.
No. 1993 with the Bears, and so I've always had a special place in my heart for the Bears. And they have one of my favorite quarterbacks now too. So I'm sure we're going to get to that. But Bears were 8-8 a year ago. I always feel like they should be a team, Chicago, that is in the hunt every year. Is that just because of their lineage and their history, or?
Yeah, but hold on. I know we got to go back. What were your two numbers? So we were Bears for 2 years. What were your two numbers?
I believe I was
99 and 6.
I was 99 in honor of Jerome Brown.
Though you were also Dan Hampton.
Yeah, but in honor of Jerome Brown.
Yeah, it was because that's when he died.
No, I thought the next year I was like 20 or 5 or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Your other co-host was 6.
6, yeah, I wasn't 6. And then the jersey number fell off, so I don't know.
So I was 72 the first year, and I did that because I wanted to be the fridge.
Right.
And then I was 74, and I don't actually, Bears fans, help me out here and comment below. Was that Jimbo Covert's number? It may have been. And again, Bears fans, help us out. I'm talking about in the 80s and the early 90s. Help us out. Would really appreciate it. But anyways, yes, let's actually talk about the real Bears and not the Cherry Hill version.
Let's get into it. 2019 record 8-8, third place in the NFC North. Acquisitions here. There's a big one up top. BDN. I wasn't going that direction, but hey, BDN. What do you think here? Not about that, about Nick Foles being the quarterback.
Of course.
And challenging Trubisky.
I don't know if this is the right situation for him. I feel as if Matt Nagy would prefer someone a little bit more fleet of foot, which, I think that's been literally like Trubisky's lone saving grace, which has been, he is athletic, and there's times when the play breaks down, he's able to make things happen with his feet. That's not necessarily Nick Foles' forte or his strength. But having said that, Nick Foles is far more accurate than Trubisky. So it's going to be interesting to see. Artie Burns was brought in. I'm just, breaking down the rest of them. Artie Burns was brought in, but unfortunately had a season-ending knee injury. So there's not really much to evaluate there. Jimmy Graham, it's amazing. Like, this guy, in the height of his game, like, I don't know what you think, but for like 2 seasons there, I actually feel like he was even better than Antonio Gates ever was.
I get what you're saying. More,
like, his peak is higher than Antonio Gates' peak, but obviously Antonio Gates
did it longer.
Much. I mean, I feel like he did it for 32 years.
He still might be out there. I don't know if he's officially retired or not.
I think he is. But it's just amazing Jimmy Graham's game fell off a cliff. I know we use that term a lot, but this guy, he's now just your run-of-the-mill tight end, and it's amazing to think what that guy was in like 2010 to 2012. It was so good. He was dominant. So it's just it was an interesting take. So I think him paired also with one of the draft picks, which we're going to get to, I think it makes for a good 1-2 punch at tight end. But it's just amazing when you see that name, you think of what he once was. I think it's remarkable. Again, Jordan Lucas, kind of similar to the Artie Burns situation in that they're not going to have his services because he opted out. Robert Quinn's brought in to replace Leonard Floyd. I think that's sort of, Quinn is obviously much older than Leonard Floyd, but I actually think he's a better football player. Barkevius Mingo is a guy who was just, he was a first round bust. There's really no other way to put it,
But it is the all name team.
Really? Okay.
You don't think Barkevius Mingo is a great name?
I'm not shitting on his name. I'm not,
it's not as good as Titsworth from Eastern Michigan or whatever his name was a year ago. It's true. It popped up on my Facebook memories. I forgot about it until I saw it yesterday. Jared Titsworth or something like that. Now you keep talking. I'll look it up.
Maybe one of the T's is silent. But anyways.
Oh, no, it's Titsworth.
No, my favorite of all time, there was a cornerback for Boston College in the late 90s, Shalom Toll-Free. But anyways, they also
there's a 1-800 number for that?
I know it almost sounds like it's like Saturday, a 1-800. It's like a phone company. Yeah, it's like a phone company in Israel. Nevertheless,
on that note, real quick, gotta tell the story now because you've set it up. My father, I had a great uncle that was a priest, and my father almost had my great uncle that was the priest convinced to do a 1-800 confess line because he's like, it makes sense. This was late 80s, early 90s. He's like 1-900 number because you can charge $3 a minute. You can keep it going as long as you want. Half the profit goes to the church, half of it goes in your pocket.
Would that be considered a sin?
Yeah, probably. And it was Parker Titsworth, Ohio Bobcats offensive line.
Oh, well, hey, he played for Ohio. Yeah. Ohio with their vaunted women's lacrosse program. Anyways, wow, we're getting off the rails here a little bit. And I apologize, Bears fans.
Yeah, let's bring us back in.
We have fun. But yes, guess what, guys? You guys got Jermaine Ifedi, who some of the Seahawks fans are actually happy to see them go, as we've learned in the comments to our Seahawks preview. I actually think he's a good player. I think he is limited footwork, but he's a strong physical guy, and I think that's exactly what the Bears need. I think that's what the Seahawks needed and let go of for whatever, or didn't retain. But I think he will provide value along the offensive line. In terms of the departures, you had Prince Amukamara, who actually now is a free agent. The Raiders actually cut him, surprisingly. Trey Burton of the famed Philly Special just never really worked out. Mike, isn't it interesting? Every Super Bowl champ, right? They always have one or two guys who are not quite the stars of the team, but either made like one or two big plays in the playoff run, and then they get drastically overpaid by some other team.
Trey Burton is a good third tight end.
Yes, yeah.
Maybe a second. He could be a good backup for somebody. That's what he is.
Yeah, but because of the Philly Special, because of it, just their names get bigger, their value gets bigger. I go back to with the Giants, the Raiders gave Jabril Wilson like $40 million. This happens with every Super Bowl team. It's like clockwork. Clinton Dix, another guy who really started off strong, but I feel as if he kind of come back to the pack in terms of being a safety. He's going to be missed now, considering that Jordan Lucas has opted out. But in the end of the day, I think it's okay that he left. Chase Daniel, the career backup, just made a small fortune. Now that you have two quarterbacks, vying for the starting position, didn't make sense to have him. Leonard Floyd, I kind of view as a disappointment as a first-round draft pick for the Bears. he has a lot of potential. Just he never fully hit his stride. Taylor Gabriel, I think, is kind of lost a step. So as a receiver who was known for his speed, that's kind of why he has fallen out of favor. Some of the other big names there, I think Kevin Pierre-Louis, kind of, a decent, he and Kwiatkowski, decent linebackers, but, sort of, they were just depth guys. And I don't really, they were 2-down linebackers as opposed to guys who really could stay on the field and be viable in pass coverage. We talk about the COVID opt-outs. Mentioned Jordan Lucas. To me, the one that really hurts is Eddie Goldman. Eddie Goldman out of Florida State was essentially like the nose tackle for this defensive line, and I think that's going to hurt a lot, him not being there this year.
Lots of moves, lots of comings and goings in Chicago, turning over the roster. Obviously, the most interesting one is the quarterback position and what's going to happen there. Let's get to the draft. Their draft was, I think you liked it more than I did, as far as some of the guys. Very much, to me, it seemed more ho-hum.
Well, I mean,
that's a word. That's a phrase I've been using a lot in this thing. I don't even know where it came from. It's like smarmy. It's like smarmy prick for Pete Carroll.
Pete Carroll, yeah. Anyways, look, it's not that exciting when you don't have any first, third, or fourth round picks. So, this is, by virtue of the fact that you traded for Khalil Mack. Having said that, I will tell you, just in particular,
which we go back to, like, when you trade for a guy of that caliber, it's okay to give up some picks for that. And where would the Bears have been slotted last year? It was middle of the pack, right? Like 15 or something.
Yeah, 15 to 20, somewhere in that age. Yeah. I'm still perfectly fine with what the Bears did to get Khalil Mack. Look, 2 years ago you were in the playoffs. It wasn't for a bad kick. You're in the divisional round, but hey, those things happen. It took a step back. But this year, you took a step back. But I mean, the nice thing is you still have that guy on the team, and he is a difference maker. Anyways, as relates to this draft, I will tell you that I think that I'm really, particularly the last 3 picks there are kind of just depth guys to me. But that second round haul of Cole Kmet and Jalen Johnson, that's a really good round. I mean, I talked about, I think from a sentimental standpoint, I in our last preview with the Lions, I talked about their third round being one of my favorites with Julian Okwara and Jonah Jackson for sentimental reasons. But honestly, Cole Kmet and Jalen Johnson, 2 guys that could have easily gone in the first round. Cole Kmet was the top tight end in the draft, and solid. He's kind of that. He's Kyle Rudolph 2.0, right? And also grew up right outside Chicago, a Bear fan. I always think
it's a cool story.
Yeah, it's a cool story. I always think there's something to a player going to the team that he grew up liking. It gives you that extra little motivation. You'd be surprised. And so I think he, along with Jimmy Graham, that's a nice 1-2 punch. Again, like I said, he's Kyle Rudolph. He's an inline tight end. He's going to block. So he's physical, big guy. I really like that. Jalen Johnson, I had him going in the first round in my mock draft. I think he's a really good cornerback, very physical and good against the run, which is something that the Bears, that's a physical defense. So I think he's going to fit in well. So look, it's not the most exciting draft. Those are 2 good players that are going to, I believe, help you immediately. So, say what you want about the draft. If you get 2 good players and it's not even the first round, I'll take it.
And another all-name team down there, Lashavius Simmons.
I prefer Arlington Hambright.
That's another good one. Bears got some good names going on. I give them credit. At least you have some cool names and like BDN. Let's get to it. 4 key questions for the Bears in 2023. We kind of already talked about it, but can BDN, can Nick Foles come in and be successful in Chicago? According to what you read, and it kind of seems like it flips back and forth day to day, he might have the advantage right now to be the starter. I believe they weren't necessarily bringing him in to be the starter. It was really a full competition here.
Yeah, I think it was to light a fire under Mitchell Trubisky. Yeah, from the way I've read the reports, to me it sounds like it's trending towards Foles, but not necessarily because Foles has been so fantastic,
Right.
but because Trubisky really just he has not improved his accuracy and he's not doing well at all. So we're at least like Nick Foles is kind of steady Eddie. Trubisky is just going down like the Titanic.
And look, Bears fans, we're going to talk real here. I will be, as an Eagles fan, I am forever grateful for Nick Foles and stepping in and helping propel the Eagles to a Super Bowl and when in Super Bowl 52. They were already going there when Carson Wentz got hurt. They were going there anyway. When Carson Wentz got hurt, I can specifically remember texting people, dream over. They're not going to win. They're done. People are going to look at Nick Foles and see Super Bowl MVP, 27 touchdowns to 2 picks under Chip Kelly. You're getting a good quarterback, an okay quarterback. He's a top 20.
I don't know.
Maybe. Like, he's a good quarterback. And
he's
good
not
team.
He played out of his mind on the run.
Absolutely.
And then he's not. Then there were times at different stops of his career where he was terrible.
Right. And
he's somewhere in between. Yeah.
You're going to get a good player, great locker room guy.
Yeah.
Don't expect when you see NFL Super Bowl MVP that you're getting Joe Montana. That's just
but the end of the day, you need someone. He's accurate. If he can get the ball out of his hands and pick the right receiver to throw to, that's already ahead of the game as compared with Trubisky. The only thing is, if the play breaks down, he is not someone who's going to elude the defense with his legs.
No, his thing was to get the ball and throw it away.
Yeah. So, but this team, I think, is also built to win through its defense. So if they can get even a little bit more out of their offense, then presumably they should be okay.
Well, let's get to the next question. Are there enough weapons on this offense for Mitch Trubisky or Nick Foles?
I'd like to see them have another legitimate receiver. I mean, you have Allen Robinson, right, who I think is a really good receiver, as much as I despise the fact that he went to Penn State.
He's a good player.
He's a good player. Anthony Miller's decent. Cordero Patterson, I just don't trust. I think they're even using him, though, a little bit more at running back right now.
Mm-hmm.
So aside from that, I mean, they drafted Riley Ridley, Calvin Ridley's younger brother, in the second round. He hasn't really peaked yet. He's still developing. They have Ted Ginn, who's just way past his prime, and even in his prime wasn't necessarily great. He's more of a return threat. So it'd be nice to see, if they one of those receivers could step up. You do have Jimmy Graham and Cole Kmet, which between the two of them, I think that's a decent tight end group.
I don't know that Jimmy Graham has much left in the tank.
No, I don't think he has much left in the tank, but that's why I said I'm only evaluating him as part of the group.
Yeah,
with him and Cole Kmet. If it was like if you're like, look, we're resting our hopes on just Jimmy Graham as tight end, that's not a good move.
Right.
And then in terms of running back, you have David Montgomery, who I believe is a little banged up right now, but I think he's going to be okay for the regular season. Then you have Tariq Cohen, who's kind of, this gadgety
scat back,
kind of Tyreek Hill-ish, but as a running back. They could use a few more weapons.
Yeah. Let's talk defense. You said you expect them to rely on the defense. If this Bears defense returns to its form from a couple of years ago, it's because of what?
Honestly, I think it's because of the return of Akeem Hicks. So Akeem Hicks went down with an injury early last season, and to me, he is the second best player on that defense. You have Khalil Mack, who's all-world, but Akeem Hicks is this really, I don't even know, because he plays D-end sometimes, he plays D-tackle. He's gigantic. He's like 345 pounds. Really good player, though. And I think when you paired him up with Khalil Mack, it was really special. So I think that's sort of the big deal why you need to have him. You know, if you have him come along, the defense will really, return to its glory, I think.
What addition on defense are you excited to see?
Well, I'm honestly, I would go with Jalen Johnson, the rookie. I think he's going to pair really well with Kyle Fuller. And then I guess the other one, if you're going to talk addition from free agency perspective, it's going to be Robert Quinn. I like him better than Leonard Floyd. I think he's a more well-rounded player, plays better against the run, has a more consistent pass rush. So those would be my two guys.
Bears fans, we will give you our predictions coming up next Tuesday for our big NFL prediction show. I'm Mike. That's Brett. If you're into fantasy, check out Thrive Fantasy down at the bottom, the newest way to play daily fantasy sports for NFL, MLB, NBA, PGA, esports, so like League of Legends, all that kind of stuff. Deposit 20 and use code SEC247 and you get 20 for free. It's very simple. They're looking to give out at least $50K week one, so take part of that money and tell them we sent you. We will see you tomorrow when we talk Packers, another double dip, Packers, Vikings, or Vikings, Packers, vice versa. See you later.